Hello, I'm Pastor Matthew Verhoeg, and this is a sermon in 3 minutes. Today we're looking at the beginning of Luke chapter 16, a passage known as the parable of the unrighteous manager. Let's read it and try to figure out what it means. Luke 16:1. He said also to the disciples, "There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was wasting his possessions. And he called him and said to him, 'What is this I hear about you? Turn in the account of your management, for you can no longer be manager.' And the manager said to himself, 'What shall I do, since my master is taking the management away from me? I am not strong enough to dig, and I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do, so that when I am removed from my management, people may receive me into their houses.' So summoning his master's debtors one by one, he said to the first, 'How much do you owe my master?' He said, 100 measures of oil.' He said to him, 'Take your bill, sit down quickly, and write 50. Then he said to another, 'How much do you owe?' He said, 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, 'Take your bill and write 80. The master commended the dishonest manager for his shrewdness." So what's this about? In understanding a parable, it's important to realize these are not role models. Just like the parable of the prodigal son is not teaching us that we should go into a far country and waste our money. The manager is not to be emulated except on this one point. He realized the smartest thing he could do with his money was to plan for the future instead of the present. Jesus is making an argument from the lesser to the greater. If even a dishonest manager can figure out that the best thing to do with his money is to bless others and thereby gain favor for the future, how much more should Christians do this with our money? Jesus explains the parable himself in Luke 16:9. "And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of unrighteous wealth, so that when it fails, they may receive you into the eternal dwellings." The point is that the wealth God has given you is not merely to be accumulated for selfish pleasures, but money is to be used to bless others and honor God. This is why Jesus is always talking about storing up treasure in heaven, and this parable makes the same point. Every cent you have will mean nothing on the day that you die. In fact, the only money that will mean something is the money you give away. Now, the other background for this text we should realize is the early church. Acts 2:45, and they were selling their possessions and belongings and distributing the proceeds to all as any had need. Many called this foolish, and yet they were doing the wisest thing they could in using their money for eternal benefit by blessing their brothers and sisters in Christ. In this, they could look forward to the day when all their money failed, because on that day they would be welcomed into heaven by all their brothers and sisters in Christ that they had the opportunity to bless.